You how to create a monitoring report for the end user to use on a monthly or weekly basis to fill in specific data so that you can track and monitor specific elements within your management system. It all depends on what you want to measure and monitor. So we are not prescriptive on this. I'm just going to show you the functionality on how to actually create it. Now, a monitoring report will require three different elements in the administrative side. So you're first going to start with the standard. So we're going to create the standard against what you want to monitor. Then we're going to link that standard to a specific monitoring location within your system. And then we're going to activate it under monitoring reports. So we're going to work with standard, monitoring locations, and monitoring reports in this session. We start with standards, so you click on standards and this section opens up. You can have a look at the monitoring reports we have already created if you would like to, but I suggest you create your own report and not use the current reports as they are customized for our client's specific needs. So the first thing you're going to do is create a name. So let's say we're going to have a construction monitoring of water. Then we're going to say we need specific parameters. So we are going to monitor water usage, and you can have a look on the system by typing in the words to see if we have a parameter that will actually suit your specific needs. So yes, we want to track water, and then we say we need to add a specific unit. Water is used in liters. We have a min and we have a max. Let's say they can have 100 liters or 1,000 liters for the specific period that you measure. And then we can have a target. So we want to say if we get to 950 liters, we actually want the system to highlight this target. You can add another element. So let's say we've got water, there's a borehole. So we have borehole water, and we can say it's liters, 0, and again, let's say 500 liters. And if we get to 450, we'll make that as a target. Let's say we have another supply of water. So what are we going to call it? Let's say we have a tanker delivering water, and that's not in our list. So we can create a new list. Okay. If you have a calculation in ELAND, we can list or add the calculation to this. But currently, there's no calculation for this in ELAND. These calculations that we show you here are customized calculations for our clients. So I suggest if you have a specific monitoring and you want to calculate anything, you need to let us know so that we can build that calculator in the system for you so that you can use it. So if you just add an element, don't select any system values because it's going to confuse your monitoring side. Just add it with the wording what you want to do. If there is a calculation, you can let me know and we can add it for you. So there we've got the parameters. There's also liters. Tanker load is a little bit more. Let's say we've got 250,000. We get to 2,000. And that's how you're going to add it. Straightforward. You need to identify the elements that you want to monitor, create those parameters, and add them into the report. You will see my standard is the last one that's currently in the system. If you look at the report in front of it, just for information's sake, you will see it looks totally different. They have a different type of monitoring that they do, and this specifically for a product that they produce. If we look at the microbial testing, this is a lab test that's done for this specific customer when they do swaps to make sure that they don't provide a product or a service that's contaminated. and can add a health risk to anybody. So you can see the reports can get quite complicated as well. I just want to show you another one. If you look at this production stats of this client, you will notice there are specific calculations that we build in for this. So if I click on edit here, you will notice that it's linked to that specific calculation. So if you have calculations in your monitoring reports, we can build them into the system so that you can draw them into your dashboards. So that's the standard. Once you created your standard, so we created the construction monitoring of water, we created this specific standard. The next thing we need to do is we need to link it to a location. So I click on monitoring location, I select my site, I select the company and my site because I'm going to link it to this site. The location name is anything that you want to give. So I'm saying the location is water usage. You can also say the location might be water supply area, or I can say it is the admin water monitoring, whatever you want to give it. It's something that a name that you give it, and that name will be allocated to the report in the front end. So it must make sense to the person that's going to use that monitoring report. The standard used, again, this section is already populated because that's what we created in the standard section. So you just basically select the standard that you created yourself, your customized standard for the monitoring. And then your monitoring measure is something that you're going to have to create upfront. So I don't think I've got one for water, so I'm just going to select any one. So make sure before you actually start doing your monitoring report that you create a CMS for that monitoring report to be tracked on a monthly basis. You will not be able to save it in your location if you don't have a monitoring report linked to it. The CMS linked to it. So the CMS is what will notify the person that they need to actually do this report. I can add it. Once I've added it under monitoring reports, I go into monitoring reports. I need to now activate it. So I need to tell the system that this is activated. This monitoring report is activated. And I select every single one. You can see here the water I've selected. I didn't even notice that, but the water that I've selected is already linked to a value. So it's already linked to a specific calculation. So whenever you have a calculation reported to a link or to a monitoring report, it will give you a green wording that says it's linked to something. If I don't want to measure that water, so for instance, I'm changing my mind and I say I don't want to measure it, I just untick it and it won't show in the front end for the user to fill in anything. Once you've added it, you will again be able to see it here, but you can also select it from this drop down. If you have multiple reports, then you will see of those reports that you can select and open them. And then I can select that one again and say I want that in my monitoring report. If I go back here, so for instance, I'm saying I don't want to do this monitoring anymore. I cannot delete the report because we might have dashboards linked to it and we might have already records that's been captured, but I can hide it. So if I want to go back and audit the monitoring report in the future, I can unhide it and it will go back to the front end. You will see if you hide it, it shows in brackets as hide. So just again in summary, to create a monitoring report, you're going to first create a standard for yourself under standards. Once you've done that, you're going to link it to a location. And once you've linked it to a location, remember in location, you need to first ensure that you have a management measure available to select. that will track the monitoring report frequency. Once you've done your location, linked it to a location, you can actually activate the report in monitoring reports. And that's it.